Hello and welcome to the DoneJS contributors meeting. Today is Friday, February 17th, 2017. With us on the core team today, we have myself, I'm Chasen. We have Julian.
Hey.
Hello, Julian. Hello. We have Justin.
Is crap a naughty word?
Ooh, I feel like it's just under naughty, but it depends on the age of the person, right? You probably don't want your daughter saying crap yet. I don't know.
We'll have to put an explicit warning on this video.
Maybe we should add that as a topic for the end, and then we can discuss it. Kevin Phillips.
Hello. Crap is not a naughty word.
All right, so we're gonna go through everyone's statuses, what we worked on last week, and what we plan on working in the coming week. I'm gonna go first. So last week, or this past week, I finished the DoneJS contribution guide that is now published on donejs.com. You can check it out in all of its massive glory. I also added issue and pull request templates for the DoneJS repo. I have an issue open for adding it to all of the other repos. That's not something that I plan on doing on my normal work time. So I'm looking for outside contributions and help with adding that. And so those were the big code-related things this week. And then next week, I'm going to be focusing more on scheduling meetup events, applying to more conferences, establishing relationships with other bloggers and other evangelists, that sort of thing. So that's going to be my focus next week. Julian, you want to go?
Yeah, sure. So I was planning to work on Steel QUnit 2.0. So I was planning to adapt QUnit 2 for our Steel QUnit, but I'm still working on that, so it's not finished yet. So I have talked to Matthew how this plugin should look like and what it should do and what not, and maybe if we make a major release for 2.0, or maybe we can release a minor release and can have some backwards compatibility to 1.0. So maybe, yeah, that's a plan, but I have to talk to Matthew about that.
Cool, sounds good. And I'm not sure if you knew, but he's mostly been off the last couple of days. So if you haven't heard back from him on stuff, you probably won't be until next week.
Yeah.
Cool. Justin.
So I worked mostly on preparing for DoneJS Chicago, which was last night. I put together a file manager guide. I did two of them. I did an advanced one and I did a beginner one, and I gave everybody ended up doing the beginner one at DoneJS Chicago yesterday. It went really well, I think. I mean, it was the right level of difficulty. There were no components. It was basically just live binding and templates. I think I'm going to try to maybe make more of those kind of guides that are seemingly easy to accomplish a lot, but I think what happens, well, I'll talk about that later. Anyways, that was my status. For next week, I'm gonna probably end up making the file navigation a guide. I was thinking about doing that, just cleaning it up so other people could give the same talk. Then finishing the DoneJS roadmap article, and then moving on to Bitcentive, and maybe then the 3.5 release is my next priority after that, CanJS 3.5.
Cool, sounds good. Kevin.
Yeah, so I worked on just a couple things this week. So I updated the current DoneJS guides, the chat guide and the place my order guide, to use the new supermodel generators. And then I also worked on an issue with generator DoneJS, where if you don't have permissions in your home directory, Yeoman tries to write a file there and it will explode. So we fixed that, tried to handle that issue. And then I'm currently looking into issues with Microsoft Edge. So hopefully we'll get that figured out today.
And next week you're off.
Yes, next week I am on vacation. I'm doing nothing. I'll probably work on my templating proposal a little bit, but otherwise I'm going to be on vacation. So
cool. Sounds good. All right. Before we move on to topics that are in the forums, does anyone have anything that they want to bring up? Cool. All right. Justin, I think you were the only one who posted topics this week. So you want to get us started off with making 404s easier in DoneJS and CanJS?
Yes. Although the first thing I want to talk about is, let me show my screen. I'm going to skip ahead. This was an image someone drew up at the DoneJS Chicago meetup yesterday. If anybody watching this has like, hey, how would you build this widget? That's the kind of stuff. Just send us a tweet, and I will build a guide for it. And this is, we're going to be doing a weekly weather report next month for DoneJS Chicago. So that's a really good way of getting someone else to do your work for you. I'm happy to do that.
Yeah, awesome.
The next thing I wanted to talk about was 404 is easier in DoneJS, CanJS. This is just something we're talking about. I don't think we have any ideas, like solid ideas yet, but it's tricky to get 404s to work right now. Bitcentive or Bitballs does it, and you can, if you're looking at an example of how to make it work, it's just not great or easy. I don't know. This is without Matthew and David. Oh, hey, David.
Good morning. Had to put a fire out.
Oh, no problem. Anyways, this is one thing. I don't know if David, if you guys have dealt with this yet on like Hullhound, is how to deal with 404s. So like you know your user puts in a bad URL, you want to give them a 404, or they go to like you know, I don't know, shipping route 2000B, which doesn't exist. You want to give them a 404. It's just kind of tricky right now. So we're talking about ways of making it so that, I think in some ways that should come with DoneJS. If you do a DoneJS install, DoneJS should be smart enough to give you 404s. The idea that is presented here, at least, what it seems like is that what we'll provide is on route. There's already a route.matched, which lets you know which route is matched. You could use that to tell if something is a 404, but it's kind of horrible and ugly. And then your application view model will have a status code, and whatever that is, that's what done SSR will serve back. I guess you guys aren't doing SSR, so it matters less. But 404 pages are still useful even without SSR to just tell people, hey, you navigated to something that, you know, we did a push state to something that really shouldn't exist. Anyways, if people have thoughts there, this is the issue for that. Next thing I wanted to bring up is making it possible to customize Babel and the core JS transpiler. That plugin maybe is only used during the build. Okay, I'm not sure what he meant there, but this is something that we want to do, is make it possible for Steel to use different versions of Babel or a custom version of Babel. There's some nuances there. If like you import something from NPM and that wants a specific Babel plugin, that can get a little odd.
But you can use the Stream API, right? You can use the Stream API, and you can do your own transpiling streaming.
Yes, but that doesn't work for the client. And that doesn't help the issue. It's like Julian makes this super sweet, like, he gets really motivated after seeing that weekly widget, that widget weather, that weather widget that I just showed. And it's like, I'm going to make the best one ever. It's going to be in like ES 2020. And that requires all these crazy Babel plugins. But I wrote my app in ES6 with just like one Babel plugin. Do I have to always configure the root to swallow up and to be the superset of all potential NPM installs? Or could we make it smart enough where it accumulates things into NPM? I don't know. Those are just things to consider around this issue. We could definitely make the build work, but how to make it work in the client in all possible situations, that's going to take a little bit of thinking.
So I think this has been answered already, but I can't remember what the answer is. So why isn't this treated just like any other Steel plugin, where we would have like a Steel Babel that would use the JS extension and translate?
So whatever. Steel, I'm not, well, you mean a Steel, there's kind of like Steel extensions and there's Steel plugins. To be clear, you're talking about plugins such as like
Steel TypeScript.
Huh?
Yeah, right, exactly.
Or TypeScript. The Babel is integrated at like a lower level than those are.
Yeah, it is right now, but why does it need to be, I guess is my question.
Well, most other extensions, the reason why we know they're extensions is because they're suffix. It's what it ends with .stash, ends with TS. This would be, everything would end with JavaScript. You would need some way of identifying, maybe just the package says everything here. I don't know. I didn't work on plugins, so Matthew would know better than I.
Okay.
Anyways,
yeah, my thought is like the translate hook could be used on all .js files, and then internally the plugin could check if it's not using import export or whatever.
Yeah, looks like Matthew is answering this. Hey Matthew, if you're watching, you could just join. JavaScript files, so you can't use Steel plugins on JavaScript files. Yeah, that's what I was thinking too. So yeah.
Okay.
And he frowny face.
Yeah, maybe it should. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. So next thing I want to talk about is this just came up during the guide. This is during the training last night. I had a partial that wanted to be able to render itself. So this template, really want to call entities template. And yes, in here you can do, I could have just written entities-template, but I actually showed how to use register partial to give it a name. So that could work. I've always hated having to register a partial. This is just one thing I've been thinking about is, I don't know. There's just a lot of problems that are kind of related. This specific issue is make it easy to call a current template as a partial. So maybe we allow, this kind of thing to say, hey, you can always access the current partial, a current template as self, and then this would just be able to call it. Maybe self would work. But more than that, well, I talk about how I'm wary of self because like a lot of times maybe that people are gonna think that is the view model or something, or the root. I don't know. I'm kind of wary of this. I just feel like there's a whole bunch of problems. I'm really getting sick of Stash and like these kind of cases where it should be really easy to refer to a function in Stash, but it's not because it always tries to run the function. I probably would need an ampersand here. I don't know. It's just really high priority to fix that and make partials work. Like I've also been thinking, they used to work with Steel is you could just put in a partial here, a URL or a module name. I'm wondering if we should bring that back maybe, but there is conflicts there. There's dragons there, which is like, well, what if your module name is just foo? Well, should that look up foo? what if there is a foo in the scope? And I don't know. It's a how to call partials is definitely an unsolved problem that we really need to make easier.
So haven't we really been telling people not to use partials and just to use components? So like in this case, if it were a component, this problem would go away, right?
Yes. Yeah, for advanced people, but I mean, I know that there's still people who use partials. I don't know. Yeah, and I know you can import a partial as a function, but importing functions that's what I talk about. That's related to like stash is just kind of gross when you're using functions.
Do we not have? I think there was a pull request for named partials. Does that solve the problem in some ways?
Well, it doesn't solve this where you would want it to call itself. It allows you to inline partials.
Inline partials. That's from James.
Totally working, but it's close to working. There was like a change that I like explained how he would make, and now I've forgotten what it was. But yeah, you can say this is the foo partial, and then you can call it inline. So it'd make partials that are only going to be available within the specific template you're working easier to do for sure. I don't know. I think that, I mean, really what I think the better solution would be is, whatever the template engine is, you should just be able to do like foo, if that's your partial name, and then call it with like, if you want the whole scope, you say scope. If you want something particular, you do that. And that's really how it should work. And you're just doing the import. But nicely, if Stash didn't have the problem with, at worst, if Stash didn't have the problem with variables or with functions, the worst it would look like is this. If we made it so that you can write directly, but not to the view, if this would not add to the view model, I don't know. This to me would make me happy, but we'd have to break a lot of compatibility with Stash to force people to do parentheses. That's what I think is the real fix. So maybe this is just something that we wait on till the template engine is ready. Anywho, final thing is, should I make this file navigation training? I'm not sure what I should do with this. Part of me is thinking I should make this one of the guides in CanJS, or maybe like we have there's like, I don't know if I want to list like everything in here, because there's two different guides. There's like a basic file navigation, and then there's a more difficult one. I'm thinking of maybe just making other guides page here where you can click on, and that will like open up other children. But I would in some ways like to make this part like an official guide, because it's just it was written just like our other guides. Other people can edit it then, and it's just more discoverable. I don't know.
So all the current guides are kind of entire applications, right? And this is more of just a single component, or so maybe we need like we need like a component, or recipes or widgets or something like that.
Okay.
I don't think there's any issue with just putting it under the guides section that we have right now. I think we need to reconsider how things are organized so we can support having dozens of guides and recipes and what have you in the future. But for right now, I think just including it under that, whatever that section is called, under guides, is sufficient.
Experiment. Yeah, I guess I still feel like I think this suggestion is just having recipes here, because I do want to, like, there's a difference between this guide and these guides in terms of like the depth and importance of going through to really understand the framework. And I kind of want like a place for lighter weight things.
Yeah, and I think long term, what that should look like is a guides page that has the like in-depth full application guides, and then breaks out the recipes or the smaller guides.
Yeah, I guess I don't
But
see
right now,
breaking that out right now.
So would you create a new section like experiments that is recipes?
No, I would just put like or I'd put recipes in here, and then you'd click on that, and it would show like these two different guides underneath it.
I think we'd want the recipes to have different pages for the different recipes.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's exactly. It would be recipes, and then it would open. I mean, it's kind of like in, you know, the documentation engine can support that. So it's like can connect, and you can click on this, and then there's things inside of it. So it just lists those.
Gotcha.
You know what I mean? So it's not like it is making it so that there's like a subsection under some of these. Really, only that one, I think. I don't think any of the other ones have any sub things, but I think that's fine. I don't think it's a big deal.
Maybe we can add a little icon next to that one that looks like a folder, and one next to the other ones that looks like a file.
We could use where could we get that icon? I don't know.
Font awesome.
Well, no, no. There's actually like there's an ASCII thing for folder and for file.
Yeah, just the emoji.
Emoji, yeah, the emoji. What is this? What do you count this? This is not like this is, but this has got to be part of the font, right? Like, how does that work? Anybody know?
It's part of Unicode.
It is it Unicode? Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think the operating system has a hierarchy for, like, if you're using a font that doesn't have the Unicode character that you're looking for, it does some fallback to fonts that do. I think there's a whole.
Okay.
Yeah.
Anywho, that's my that's my status. Or that's my those are my topics.
Yeah. Cool. I think that was everything in the forum post. Did anyone have any other topics that they wanted to discuss? No? All right. It's going to be a short one today then. Thank you everyone who is watching on the live stream or watching this afterwards on YouTube. Thank you guys for coming to the meeting today, and see you guys next week.
Yep.
Thanks, Tracy.
See you.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.